Right, chord inversions. Now everyone seems to really overcomplicate this subject. They hear the term chord inversion, assume it's going to be months of learning chord theory, music theory, etc, etc. That's not the case. So we'll take a C major chord for example. So we've got the notes C, E and G. Now to do a first inversion, turn any triad into a first inversion, all we do is we take the third of the chord or the second note of the chord and we make that the root note. So in the case of C major chord we have C, E, G. So all we need to do is make E the root note. So we have E, G and C. Now of course there are multiple ways to play a first inversion across the neck, but we'll just take one really simple one for now. So what I want you to do is play a C major chord in the A shape, so like that. And all we need to do to make it a first inversion is, instead of having our third finger bar the D, G and B strings on the 5th fret, we move our third finger up to the E note on our A string, so the 7th fret, and then we use our first finger to bar the D, G and B strings on the 5th fret. Then we have E, G, C. Exact same notes of the C major chord, just in a different order, and that is a C major inversion. And it's the same for D, so move it up, E, move it up, and that is how you do a first inversion. Now to do a second inversion of a C major chord, all we do is we take the 5th of the chord, so in this case G, and we make that the root note. So one shape you can play is here, so G, C, E. So how can you use this? Well, one really simple way is by making rhythm playing sound a lot more interesting. So if we take a chord progression of just C major, G major, D major, A major, if you play it like this, it sounds quite boring. However, if we add the first inversion of each chord in between every chord change, then you get something that sounds more like what Hendrix would do with his rhythm. So something like this. So as you can see, chord inversions aren't nearly as complicated as what people make them out to be, and they can actually make your rhythm playing sound so much more interesting than if you're just playing straight chords. So if you want more guitar tips, follow, like, and let me know in the comments.